One careless second was all it took to destroy a life that had taken years to build. A single misplaced email, sent to the wrong person at the worst possible moment, turned an ordinary Monday morning into a nightmare that no one in the office would ever forget. By sunset, trust had shattered, friendships had crumbled, and one man stood alone, wondering how something so small could erase everything he had worked for. Before we begin this emotional journey, if you believe in kindness, forgiveness, and second chances, please take a moment to like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to Kindness Corner. Every act of support helps us continue sharing stories that remind the world compassion still exists. Daniel had always believed that success came from honesty and hard work. He was not the loudest employee in the company or the most confident person in the room, but he was dependable. Every morning he arrived before everyone else, quietly preparing reports, helping coworkers without expecting recognition, and treating everyone with respect. His coworkers often joked that Daniel was the human version of a safety net because whenever something went wrong, he somehow found a way to fix it. He carried that reputation with pride because it represented years of discipline and sacrifice. Outside the office, life was far from easy. Daniel lived with his widowed mother, whose health had slowly declined after years of battling heart disease. Medical bills had become a constant burden, forcing Daniel to work overtime whenever possible. Every paycheck disappeared almost as quickly as it arrived, divided between rent, medication, groceries, and hospital appointments. Yet despite the endless pressure, he never complained. He believed that difficult seasons eventually passed and that kindness always found its way back to those who refused to give up. On the morning everything changed, the office buzzed with excitement. The company was preparing for its biggest client presentation of the year, one that could secure millions of dollars in future contracts. Managers hurried between conference rooms while employees rushed to complete final revisions. Daniel had spent weeks organizing confidential financial documents, ensuring every detail was accurate. His supervisor trusted him completely, and that trust meant more than any promotion ever could. But exhaustion has a way of clouding even the sharpest mind. After another sleepless night spent beside his mother's hospital bed, Daniel returned to work running on little more than determination. As he prepared one final email containing sensitive financial projections for the executive team, a tiny mistake slipped past him. Instead of selecting the internal management group, he accidentally chose the company's largest client. Without realizing it, he clicked send. The mistake remained unnoticed for only a few minutes, but those minutes were enough. The confidential information reached the client before anyone could stop it. Phones began ringing. Managers rushed into emergency meetings. Faces that had once smiled at Daniel now stared at him with disbelief. The atmosphere in the office transformed from hopeful excitement into silent panic. By the afternoon, Daniel was called into a conference room where senior executives explained that the accidental disclosure had jeopardized months of negotiations. Although the client understood the mistake was unintentional, company policy was strict. Trust had been compromised. Daniel's employment was terminated before the day ended. Walking out of the building carrying only a small cardboard box filled with family photos and a coffee mug, Daniel felt as though the world had collapsed beneath his feet. The same coworkers who once admired him avoided eye contact, unsure what to say. Some believed he had been careless. Others quietly pitied him. None of them understood how deeply guilt had already consumed him. Losing his job meant far more than losing an income. It meant wondering how he would pay for his mother's treatment. It meant sleepless nights searching for opportunities while bills continued arriving. It meant watching hope slowly disappear from the person who had always carried everyone else's burdens. Weeks passed, and rejection followed rejection. Every interview seemed promising until employers contacted his previous company. Although no one spoke badly about Daniel's character, the story of the confidential email always resurfaced. One mistake had become the headline of his entire career. Still, Daniel refused to become bitter. During his unemployment, he began volunteering at a local community center simply to stay busy and avoid drowning in self-pity. There he organized food drives, repaired broken furniture, helped children with homework, and assisted elderly neighbors with grocery deliveries. Nobody cared about the mistake that had ended his career. They only saw a man willing to help whenever someone was struggling. One rainy afternoon, while carrying donated supplies into the center, Daniel noticed an elderly man collapse near the entrance. Without hesitation, he rushed forward, called emergency services, and stayed beside the frightened stranger until help arrived. The man survived thanks to Daniel's quick response. Days later, Daniel learned that the elderly man happened to be Arthur Reynolds, the retired founder of a successful technology company known for supporting local charities. After recovering, Arthur insisted on meeting the young man who had helped save his life. During their conversation, Daniel openly admitted everything about losing his job. He never blamed anyone else. He accepted responsibility, explained the circumstances honestly, and admitted that living with the consequences had been the hardest lesson of his life. Arthur listened carefully before smiling. He explained that companies often searched for perfect resumes but forgot that character mattered far more than perfection. Everyone makes mistakes. The true measure of a person is what they become afterward. A week later, Arthur offered Daniel an opportunity to help manage a nonprofit foundation that supported families facing medical hardships. The salary was modest compared to his previous position, but the work carried something far more valuable: purpose. For the first time in months, Daniel felt hope returning. His organizational skills transformed the foundation's operations, allowing more families to receive assistance. He worked tirelessly, remembering every painful experience that had brought him there. Because he understood fear, he comforted frightened parents. Because he understood financial stress, he fought harder to stretch every donated dollar. Because he understood failure, he never judged anyone for their past. Ironically, news of Daniel's dedication spread throughout the business community. Former colleagues who once pitted him began speaking about his remarkable resilience instead of his mistake. Even his previous employer eventually reached out, apologizing for how quickly they had forgotten years of loyal service because of one unfortunate accident. Daniel thanked them sincerely but chose not to return. He realized that losing everything had unexpectedly guided him toward the life he was always meant to live. The email that once seemed like the worst moment of his existence had become the first step toward discovering a deeper purpose than corporate success could ever provide. His mother often smiled as she watched him leave for work each morning. She reminded him that life rarely follows the path we carefully plan. Sometimes our greatest blessings arrive disguised as our greatest failures. Daniel finally understood what she meant. The mistake that had broken his heart had also opened it, allowing him to touch countless lives with compassion that success alone could never have taught him. Before we reach the end, we'd love to hear from you. Please comment below with this simple message: everyone deserves a second chance. If this story touched your heart, reminded you not to judge others by a single mistake, or inspired you to keep believing in hope, please like this video, leave a heartfelt comment, share it with someone who needs encouragement today, and subscribe to Kindness Corner. Your support helps these stories reach people who may be searching for hope during their darkest moments. Remember, one small mistake can change everything, but so can one act of kindness, one moment of forgiveness, and one decision to keep moving forward. Your worst day does not have to define the rest of your life. Sometimes the road that begins with heartbreak leads to a destination more beautiful than you ever imagined.